Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for February 13th, 2024. Well, let's take a look at what happened overnight. Asian markets, remember, a lot of Asian markets are continuing to be closed celebrating the Lunar New Year. But we do have a few things moving around over there, particularly the Nikkei. Wow, the Nikkei moving up sharply here, almost 3% yesterday, briefly touching 38,000 for the first time since 1990, and it is nearing an all-time high over there for the Nikkei. So you want to keep an eye on that. Australian markets were just slightly lower last night. If we take a look at Europe, Europe is down across the board this morning. Not terribly bearish, but feeling a little bit of pressure as they are watching a big round of earnings that are coming, and of course worried about the inflation data here in the U.S. this morning. If we take a look at U.S. markets are down across the board as well. As a matter of fact, the NASDAQ has taken a pretty big hit this morning, down more than 0.5% in the pre-market. But remember, I'm doing this at 5:30 a.m. Central Time. If we take a look at oil this morning, oil is moving higher. We've got a little bit more worry on the Middle East, moving just a little bit higher on oil and Brent crude, with natural gas continuing to show lower. Boy, it just seems like we just don't need natural gas anymore, the way they keep driving that price down. On our bond front, bonds are hanging in there. Our 10-year bond is actually just a little bit lower at 4.16, but our 2-year bond is at 4.47, trying to hang in there pretty stubbornly right now. So we'll just have to keep an eye on those as we approach the data points here this morning. So what does all that mean for today? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. How about we try and shake off a little bit of bias, what we feel about the market. Let's just take a look at the charts, see if we can figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. Well, yesterday, my goodness, those bulls, they started off really slow. But then heading into about midday, they started to pick up and decided they were just going to pump the market up high. And kept going, new record highs here in the diamonds. Then we started pulling back. We still closed up here at a new record high on the day, but started to pull back. Maybe left a little bit of uncertainty here in that chart. But if we just take a look, remember, blue sky above here, every reason to believe, if the bulls continue to find inspiration in the data today, that we could push on through to the upside and set new record highs yet again here in the market. If the bears were to find inspiration, well, you can see this price support right in here. Little test of that price support seems pretty likely if the bears were to get going, and if they push beyond that point, where you can see we've got a little tiny bit 3-candle support right there that we might catch and hold in. If that were to fail, then I'm going to suggest we could come all the way down here, and those are some pretty big point moves in the market. In fact, it'd be a little bit painful if you were buying heavily yesterday. So be kind of careful and cautious here in the market of over trading as we continue to just stretch in this market in a fear of missing out move. Again, it reminds me very much of the 1999.com run to the upside. And by the way, yes, I am that old. So keep an eye on these moves. Let's take a look at our SPY. SPY, yes, also showing a nice bullish move yesterday. It was stretching pretty hard, and then Toward the end of the day, we got a really quick move lower, SPY putting in a shooting star up here, and now we're showing a little bit of bearishness here in the pre-market. We'll want to watch that carefully here. Just keep an eye on that possibility that this could feel a little bit of pressure to the downside today, and if it does, maybe down through here would be that first level, and then we're probably looking right down into here in that chart and maybe even testing the trend here on SPY. And remember, these could be some big moves in the market if we happen to be disappointed on data today. Now, if the bulls find that inspiration here today and just bounce right back up on that inflation data, which is certainly possible, then watch for that resistance level up here to be tested. And then, of course, there's blue sky above there in the SPY. Nothing up there to hold it. We'll want to be just a little bit careful and cautious today, though, as we wait for that data this morning. If we take a look at our QQQ, the old Q's left us behind a kind of a shooting star pattern as well. We had hit a new record high yesterday and then quickly saw that pullback. And as I mentioned here in the pre-market, QQQ is experiencing a little bit of pressure, and if we were to find bullish data today to move us higher, then keep in mind right there is that resistance level that we would look at and then see blue sky above if we can break above that. Now, if the bears continue to find inspiration, noticing here in the pre-market that we've already broken down below these two candles, well, we're probably looking into a support level right in here to test that level as support. If that were to fail to hold, well, as you can see, there is that possibility we could push substantially lower into this next area of price support, and that would potentially break this upside trend. So we'll want to keep an eye on it. We could certainly find this area right in here, though, as a support off of that trend and bounce right back up in here. So watch that carefully in IWM. And then, in the Qs. And then IWM had a big day yesterday, really shooting up, really stretching out after breaking through this downtrend here in the chart. And honestly, it was a little bit of a surprise to me to see that much strength coming into it all at once. Now this morning, you can see in the pre-market, we've tried to pop up, but at the moment we're pulling back, having a little pre-market shooting star in there. But if those bulls can continue to find inspiration, well, let's take a look at this resistance here in the chart. We've tested that in the pre-market, and we are pulling back. If we can punch on through there, well, the next resistance is right up here in the chart. Let me back this chart up so you can see that. What we'd be looking at is high prints and all of this resistance over here, which is a substantial area of price resistance. So watch that carefully. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration here in the chart, well, the first test is going to be right here to catch that little level of price support in the chart. If it catches there and holds, we're in good shape. If we push down below there, maybe pushing down into this range of the chart would seem kind of likely, pushing into that area. Down below that, well, then of course we're back down here then, maybe testing this area of price support in the chart and that trend to see if we can hold. So watch that carefully. Remember, I want to see some kind of a hold up here, and if I do, I'll turn this line back to green as a support level in the chart. But we've done this before where we shot up and then couldn't hold it. So watching that pretty carefully. Let's take a look at our VIX. Now that VIX, interesting yesterday, while we were screaming to the upside, everything showing bullishness, there may have been an acknowledgement that, hey, we're probably getting carried away here in the market, and we saw the fear gauge rising up. Now, could also be just the fact that we're waiting on a number and inflation number in the market, and we saw a little bit of fear, but kind of an interesting move and really diverging from the direction of the market. So let's keep an eye on this. If this were to expand today, if the bears find inspiration, look for this area right up in here as resistance. And I've said this before, that if we find bearish reason here in the market to really start seeing some selling, there's going to be a big run for the door all at once. We could even see that break if we get a little bit of fearfulness coming into the market. A lot of folks will be running to sell, to take profits just as quickly as possible to protect their capital. If the bulls were to find inspiration here, well, we've certainly opened up an opportunity here in that move. If we were to push back down in that chart, certainly does look like a possibility if those bulls get good data here today. Let's take a look at our T2122. Now our T2122, as we surged and surged yesterday, we pushed straight up into this bearish reversal zone in T2122. So the good news is we finally had a breadth move to the upside, where we had more stocks moving to the upside as the market moved up. With that big push in the Russell, that helped things out a lot, showing a lot of improvement there. But once we're up in here, just kind of keep in mind, if we get bullish data today, we've kind of run out. This area up here, remember, this is a 4-week new high, new low. So it's impossible for this to go above 100. It's impossible for it to go below 0. So if we get a good bullish move or a good bullish data today, there's really not a whole lot of upside potential that we can move in T2122. Doesn't mean we can't go up, but there isn't a lot of upside opportunity here in this. If the bears were to find inspiration, of course, we've opened up a big downside opportunity. So as I've been repeating over and over and over in these videos lately, make sure you're not over trading and raise those stops up in case that suddenly begins to trip and move lower, because we could move swiftly to the downside. So watch that close. And then if we take a look at our T2108, as I said, we had that nice little improvement here yesterday where we haven't seen that. We've been moving up and really not getting a lot of movement in some of these indicators. Percentage of stocks above the 40-day moving average improved nicely yesterday, back above the 50% area of the chart. You will want to notice that that's still within that downtrend, and we're going to run into price resistance levels in here in this chart. So keep that in mind if the bears were to take over. But at least we relieved some of that pressure here in the market. If the bears were come back, raging back in, well, just remember we've got some support in this chart as well that could hold us in those support areas. If we take a look at our T2107, percentage of stocks above the 200-day, nice rally here yesterday as well. Notice for the first time in some time we broke that little downtrend here in the chart. We're back up here testing some resistance and holding in there pretty well with that, particularly with the big help of the Russell pushing us to the upside. So watch that carefully here today. There's every reason to believe that if we get bullish data, we could pop this on through, maybe be back up here testing some of these, kind of lofty areas in T2107. If, for example, the bears were to find some bearish data, notice we've created a nice level of price support in the chart, so pushing down into here wouldn't harm anything. Fear would maybe start creeping into the market if we probably broke below that 50% here in T2107. Let's take a look at our T2101. Well, good news yesterday as well. That big push to the upside, we actually saw breadth coming into the market. But as you know, at the end of the day, it kind of deflated that hopefulness here really quickly. We'll want to watch this pretty closely today with the bears pushing here in the pre-market. What you don't want to see if you're a bull is you don't want to see this expand if the bears start coming in. That's not something you want to watch or something you want to see, because that would mean the bears are building energy to the downside. So watch that carefully. What we want to see is, if we get good economic data today, we want to see this expand and break this downtrend here on a bullish wave. So certainly possible both ways in here. Just be watchful and careful this morning. I think anything is possible looking at these charts. Let's take a look at our economic calendar for today. And our economic calendar definitely has some things that we'll want to be paying attention to. It's what we've been talking about all morning here, and that is this data, the CPI data. We'll want to just, anything is possible with this. Remember, we've got the NFI Small Business Optimism Report. That missed here this morning. If you notice, the consensus was looking for a 92.4. Last time was 91.9. Came in at 89.9. That's a big disappointment here, showing small business as not being all that optimistic here in the market as we continue to stretch and stretch and stretch these prices higher. So watch that closely here this morning. And then the CPI number. Well, consensus is suggesting pretty much everything declines, going to a 0.2 from a 0.3, going to 3.0 year over year from a 3.4, looking at ex-food and energy month over month staying flat, but a decline in ex-food and energy at 3.7 from 3.9. Just remember, depending on how these numbers come in, if they miss, we could really see the bears become active. And there may be a reason that we see these miss, because, well, the market has been acting like everything is copacetic. There's nothing wrong. People spending, raising those credit card debts and everything else. There is a reason that those could come in at a little bit of a miss, and that would disappoint the market. If they come in like this, well, I would say that the bulls are going to love it, and that opportunity that we could continue to push higher. Let's take a look at the rest of the day. We've got some bond announcements, and that's pretty much it. Looking into Wednesday, you can see we've got some Fed speakers. We've got a petroleum status number and a bond auction, mortgage applications to be thinking about moving into Wednesday. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar, and oh my goodness, it's a busy one. As a matter of fact, there's no way I can cover all of the notable earnings for today. So if you want that full list of notables, make sure you click the link just below the title of the video. That'll take you back to the morning blog where you can catch that full list. I'll just cover a couple of them here. Airbnb will be reporting today. We've got AKAM that will be on that list reporting today. We've got a little insurance coming in here. AIG will be reporting. We've got Datadog on the list here today. We're going to be hearing from Wire. We've got Hasbro in here. We've got KTOS that will be reporting. Lyft will be reporting today. We've got TAP in here. PAAS in here. Upstart will be reporting. WCC is in there on the list. We've got Zillow in there on the list as well. So quite a few, including Robinhood and things like that. So there's quite a number of reports here today. So watch those closely. And remember, click that link just below the title of the video. That'll take you back to the morning blog. So with that, how about we take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, and that would be click that thumbs up button. Make sure that you leave that brief message here on the video, because that helps probably more than anything else. And remember, even emoji counts as engagement with the video. And thank you so much to everyone who does take the time to do that. I appreciate it. And of course, I am doing as much as I can to answer those comments in there. So if you have a question, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to try to answer it. Let's take a look at some of these charts setting up, and remember, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very, very careful in this market. Once again, try not to overtrade. Make sure you're raising those stops, because we are so elevated here, and be prepared for that possibility that a shift could come into the market at just about any time. Let's take a look at a few things in the healthcare sector. Take a look at ISRG. Now, ISRG has been running to the upside. We're coming back to try and test a little bit of support in that trend here in that chart on ISRG. Watch that carefully. If we can hold in here, then that opportunity, we might find some buyers pick that up and start pushing it to the upside. If we take a look at like UNH, now UNH has broken through this little downtrend right in here. It's been really ugly here for a while, and very volatile, surprisingly volatile. But watch this carefully in here in this move, this resting pullback coming back into trend. That upside opportunity, look right in there, see if there's going to be that opportunity for that to push on through to the upside. I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Take a look at Pfizer. Now, Pfizer's been, boy, we have hated it here for quite some time. Pfizer not looking good. You'll want to notice here that we're testing some major areas of price support here in the chart on Pfizer. And if you'll notice, we finally pushed up and maybe broke this downtrend. What was interesting is yesterday I was looking, I didn't pick this up, but I was looking into options on this, long-term options, and I think the January leaps, the 2025 leaps, there's about 24,000 contracts sitting in there around the 70 delta area on this. So apparently some folks are thinking longer term this has some upside opportunity. But yesterday we popped and dropped. This may still have some more volatility in it, and you will want to notice in, whoops, wrong chart. You will want to notice we're still underneath that 50-day moving average. So my preference on this would be get above that 50-day, hold up here. Then I would have much more interest in that chart. So worth keeping an eye on here. Let's take a look at a few other areas of the market. As you guys know, I was talking about Cleveland Cliffs yesterday. Cleveland's still looking good, holding into that pattern. Place that alert on this and on Friday, and it did pop it, but has pulled back. And that's something you guys want to remember, that, and there's so much chasing going on in this market right now. Oftentimes what you're going to see is when we're away from trend like this and we pop up in here, that we will likely still complete that move out here. And I've seen a lot of times here where folks get in trouble. They'll pop right through here, you get into the trade, and then we work our way back to trend and you get stopped out. So watch that carefully here. Just a little tip that makes a big difference for me in my trading is being patient on those trades. So watch that carefully. Boy, Walmart continues to perform here really well. Pushed in higher yesterday, trying to break through to the upside. As a matter of fact, I saw a lot of retail moving to the upside yesterday, which was interesting to me. So watch this carefully. There still is that chance that this could finish this move over to the trend, but watch that carefully. Remember, this is going to report on 220. This may just be a surge right into that earnings report. So keep an eye on Walmart. And as I was saying, quite a few things moving up here in the retail sector. Notice Macy's breaking through some resistance, a little higher low in there. We have a big resistance here to be worried about, but Macy's moving up. I saw like JWN breaking out, moving to the upside. Target had a pretty good day yesterday, pushing on up in this trend. So a lot of retail was making a move. And then, of course, when you talk about retail, you got to talk about Costco, because Boy, we love Costco. It just keeps running and running and running to the upside and still has that opportunity that it could hold this trend and push on higher here in Costco. A few other places you might want to take a look. Take a look at Plug Power. Plug, when the market is so extended to the upside, I like to look at some of these stocks that are coming up out of bottoms. And Plug Power, a little cheapy guy, probably not for everyone in here, but Plug showing that nice little bullishness. Trip my alert. I did pick up a small position in here, but I want you to know that I picked it up as a stock position. I'm just looking at this as a hold for a while, and I will be looking to build a position if this continues to grow to the upside. Here again, if we look at our 50-day moving average, this is a pattern that we call a rounded bottom breakout. A rounded bottom breakout is the stock breaks back above its 50 after extreme selling happens in it, picks up, and then we look at this start working its way back up to that 200-day moving average, which would be just on its own a pretty nice upside move in that chart. So I would keep an eye on that. You might want to take a look at URI. URI popped that alert yesterday. You guys saw this, I think, yesterday in the morning prep video. Popped that alert yesterday. It may still have to rest a couple more days with that wick coming into play, but keep an eye on your URI, still trying to push through to the upside. And last but not least, I mentioned this one yesterday, that TEVA. This has been moving up beautifully here in the chart and then happened to catch an upgrade and just went like a rocket ship yesterday to the upside. We're going to be coming into some price resistance right here in the chart. So watch that carefully, but any kind of rest, consolidation, or pullback now at this point that kind of rest back or gives us this same pattern that we've been seeing as we've been moving up. Rest back, look for that next opportunity in TEVA and that possibility that just pushes on through that resistance. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Thank you so much for being here. Be a little bit careful this morning. Futures are showing us just, well, a little bit of uncertainty here, particularly in the NASDAQ. So just be a little bit cautious and careful until we start seeing all of this economic data in the CPI come in and see how we're responding to these earnings reports rolling in today. Until then, have an awesome day. Wish you great profits, and I'll see you right back here bright and early Wednesday morning. Wishing you all the very, very best. Take care, everyone.